By Eleonora Goldman, May 15, 2025. History. Vladimir Pushkarev. Kira Lisitskaya. Vladimir Pushkarev devoted much of his life to expeditions into remote and isolated regions, driven by a deep desire to encounter a legendary being often spoken of by locals. His relentless pursuit of the creature, however, ended in tragedy. In the fall of 1978, Soviet geologist and biologist Vladimir Pushkarev disappeared in the subpolar Urals. As his wife Elena would later recount, he had long been fascinated by the search for Bigfoot and had gathered extensive accounts and evidence regarding its existence. Stories from the peoples of the far north. Born in 1939, Vladimir Pushkarev became one of the most recognized figures associated with the so-called Soviet Sasquatch phenomenon in the northern USSR. As a geologist, he frequently traveled to regions such as Chukotka, Yakutia, Komi, and Yamal, where he listened to numerous stories from indigenous communities about an elusive, humanoid creature. Each group had a different name for it. The Nenes referred to it as Tungu, the Kanti called it Kul, the Komi used Yagmort, and the Evenks knew it as Chuchuna. According to all the legends and stories, the Chuchuna came from the east, that is, from the direction of Chukotka. Pushkarev wrote in a 1975 article for Vokrug Sveta, Around the World. He documented eyewitness testimonies and published them in various articles. In the 1920s, people from our village encountered a chuchuna while picking berries. He was doing the same, stuffing them into his mouth with both hands. When he noticed the humans, he stood up to his full height, very tall and thin. They say he was over 2 meters tall, with arms hanging below the knees. He wore reindeer skins and had no shoes. Pushkarev quoted Evenk woman Tatiana Zakharova in a 1978 article for Technics of Youth magazine. Another account came from Luka Tynzianov of Yamal's Shurishkansky district. 2 kuls came out of the forest. One was tall, over 2 meters, the other, shorter. As they walked toward me, they suddenly looked directly at me, their eyes glinted. They wore no clothes, just thick but short fur all over their bodies. Pushkarev also conducted a survey in Salekad, the capital of Yamal, targeting students from nomadic families. He asked them if they had ever seen the so-called wild man in the tundra, what the Nenes called him, and how they described him. All 60 participants identified the name Tungu, and most were certain the creature was real. Some claimed personal sightings, others said their relatives had encountered him. The physical descriptions were remarkably consistent: massive, thick-furred humanoids with long arms and unusual, awkward gaits. Scientific interest in the USSR. Bigfoot-like creatures are present in the folklore of many global cultures. Despite the absence of scientifically verified evidence, several Soviet scholars treated the topic with genuine academic interest during the mid-20th century. One of the pioneers in this field was anthropologist and historian Boris Porshnev. Under his initiative, the USSR Academy of Sciences created a commission in 1958 to investigate the possible existence of Bigfoot. Porshnev referred to the being as a relict hominid, theorizing it to be a surviving branch of early human ancestors. That same year, a major expedition was organized to the Pamir Mountains. However, it yielded no definitive results. From that point on, investigations into Bigfoot were carried out by independent enthusiasts rather than official bodies. Among them were those who, like Porshnev, believed the creature could represent an evolutionary offshoot of Homo sapiens. Interest in these reports didn't disappear. In the 2000s, Sergei Gashev, a doctor of biological sciences at Tyumen State University, compiled a map of reported Bigfoot sightings across Russia. While some were as close as the Moscow region, the highest number of testimonies clustered in Yamal, well above the Arctic Circle, precisely where Pushkarev launched his final journey. The final expedition each summer, Pushkarev journeyed to the far north, seeking contact with local people and gathering new stories. Despite his dedication, he had never personally encountered the creature. In October 1978, however, he set out on what would become his last expedition, an undertaking he pursued with unusual urgency and inadequate preparation. From Salekad, he traveled to the village of Muzhi. There, he boarded a boat with a local guide. After a while, he sent the guide back and proceeded alone, heading toward a lake on the border of the Khanty-Mansisk Autonomous District, according to his wife. By November or December, Eleanor had grown concerned and began organizing a search. Accompanied by rescuers, she ventured into the area where he was believed to have gone. There, they found his sleeping bag and some personal belongings, but no further trace of the geologist. Vladimir Pushkarev had vanished without a trace.